So let's open up the program and let's start exploring the options that are available to us. Now, so here we are in Photoshop, and when you open up Photoshop for the first time, it'll likely give you a little bit of a tour around it. It's just an automated thing that happens with Adobe programs the first time that you open them. Now, what you can also see here as well is that they actually do have their own inbuilt tutorials, which are incredibly useful, and I do recommend you check those out in your own time as well. So what we can do here, we can create new, or we can open up existing files. We will create new in this case, so I'm just going to go to File, Top, and the reason I'm coming up here rather than just clicking it there is I do want you to get into the habit, and maybe it's just me, but I think it's a good idea to get used to using the menu here at the top, because you've got loads of different options available to you that you're going to be using very, very frequently here along the top. So I think it's a good idea to work from here. So I'm going to go new just in this particular case. So we click File, New, and then it'll give us the options then for what type of documents we want to create. So a default one here, it's a recent one that I opened up, but you have like different options here if you have any kind of saved templates, or if you've got kind of photo templates or anything like that that you want to work from, but you can make your own. All you have to do is just start working and changing the options here. You can call the file whatever you want. You've got the size here. I have it in inches for now, but you can change that into centimeters if you prefer. The resolution, I recommend that you should be working at 300 pixels per inch. We'll talk about that certainly more in an upcoming lesson, but for now we just click create, and that's just going to create a brand new blank document for us, which is all I want for now, just to be able to show you around the program. So there you can see our blank 7x5 inch 300 pixel document, and what we have here then, and the layout of this is going to be very similar to the majority of Adobe programs that you might be using going forward. We have our toolbar here. We'll come back to this now in a second, because this is really important. This is something we're going to be using a lot. So you'll find it over here on the left hand side. As you can see, when you hover over each of the tools, it kind of gives you a very, very quick, really useful kind of thing to show you exactly what the tools do. It also, though, importantly tells you what the shortcut is as well. So you see there, the shortcut for the brush tool is B. They don't always match up with the first letter. Like for example, the clone stamp tool here is S, which obviously a little bit different. But we'll dig into those a little bit deeper now in just a moment. Across the top here then, as I said, we've got a variety of different options. File for opening, saving, exporting files. Edit will give us lots of editing options when we've actually got something here that we can work away on. Again, image here, particularly for photographs, we'll be using adjustments quite frequently here. Brightness, contrast, you can see hue, saturation, color balance, vibrance, black and white. Loads and loads of different options there. Layers, probably the most important thing to get familiar with in Photoshop is the use of layers. Now, when we start working on images, we'll introduce layers, but basically layers are it's almost like stacking kind of tracing paper on each other, and you're kind of tracing over different parts of the tracing paper to add different effects, or a different color, or a different filter or something to an image. Okay, it's a really important way of working, and you'll find by the time you get to the end of this course, you'll have stacks and stacks of layers in your files. We've got type, for adding types, or type layers for adding text. Selects part of our selection tools. Filters are just a load of different types of effects, and so on. Now, just another one here that's important is our window, because we can change what we see. For now, I just have it set to our workspace here as essentials, and I'll come back to that now in just a second as well. Over here on the right hand side then, we've kind of got the default options here. We've got color swatches, gradients, patterns. If you want to go through each of those, you just click each of the tabs here. We've got adjustments, we've got libraries. Down here at the bottom then, we have layers and channels and paths. So layers is the only one we're really kind of concerned with at the moment. You can move each of these around, each of the tabs around, simply by clicking and dragging on them, and you can then expand them out there as well, or you can just simply close them there too. Okay, so I just want to pop out of this just for a second, just to speak a little bit about our tools. So as I mentioned, tools are something we're going to be using, well, you're going to be using them constantly, throughout Photoshop. And we have a huge amount of tools available to us on the toolbar, starting with our Move tool, which is one that's just simply going to be used constantly for moving objects, for moving photographs, moving around the artboard. Lasso is another one. Quick selection we'll be using a lot as well. And as you can see, there's shortcuts beside each of these as well. I won't be able to go through every single one of them here. Now, if you decide to purchase the optional toolkit, all of this will be included within the toolkit. You'll get the slides, there's summary notes there as well, which will have a breakdown, a detailed breakdown of all of these and all the shortcuts that follow them as well. But with the tools, we can basically kind of group them into 4 different categories, okay? Starting off with our healing types of tools. So the shortcut for them is J in most cases, and then we've got the clone stamp tool, which shortcut is S. So spot healing or the healing brush, the patch tool, all of these will have a look at. You'll be using them quite a lot when it comes to retouching. But these basically will remove blemishes, or we can remove people or objects from photographs using the healing tools. Then we have our selection tools like the marquee tool, the lasso tool, quick selection, very useful. We'll use that a lot. Then a more complicated one would be the pen tool. If you're familiar with Adobe Illustrator at all, you'll be very familiar with the pen tool. Particularly if you're a graphic designer, you'd be using this a lot for creating objects from scratch, designs from scratch. But it's also an extremely accurate selection tool, but it's a very laboursome selection tool. It takes a lot of time to perfect and a lot of time to actually create selections with it. But if you have to be pinpoint perfect, you'd absolutely use the pen tool. Then we have our brush tools. So brushes will be used for adding in colour, airbrushing effects, dodging and burning, just like we used to dodge and burn in the darkroom. That's kind of adding a little bit of darkness or a bit of brightness to a photo. History brushing that as well. All of those available within the toolbar. Then we have our move tools, our gradient and bucket, our type tools. These ones that kind of don't fall neatly into any type of category, but are very important nonetheless. Certainly the crop tool is a very, very important tool. Now, I mentioned Workspaces there as well, and basically Workspaces will change what tools are available to you on the toolbar. As you can see, it'll expand out some of the tools, the more important tools, depending on what area it is that you wish to work in. I recommend going with the essentials for now, but as you can see, if you were to go with graphic and web, you're going to have more shape tools available to you, as you're going to be doing more kind of custom shapes and designs. Photography, we've got more of the healing tools available to us because we're likely going to be taking out objects. Painting, you can see much more the brush tools, because of course we're going to be using those brushes to do digital painting and so on. So which workspace should you use? Well, it really depends on your own preferences. I recommend sticking with the essentials for now, because I would see us all as enthusiasts at this stage. Now, of course, some of you are going to be more familiar with the program than others, but I'm going to take it that we're all on lesson 1 and that we're all starting from the same place. If you are a Photoshop pro or Photoshop expert, or you consider yourself one, you can absolutely use the custom option, the custom way menu, and just design it to have all the tools that you find yourself using most frequently. But